led a high time of digital transformation in all spheres of our life. Education is not untouched from this transformation. The new innovations and practices are making their wider space in society. Education is also adopting them with great pace. Hence, the need of this international webinar, which is being organized by none else than the University Department of Education, Narayan Mitra University. To start the webinar and welcome the distinguished speakers and delegates from different countries of the world, a formal welcome speech is a necessity. The Department of Education, the host of this international webinar, is indeed blessed to have an able and energetic leader who not only leads but is more popular to motivate others to do so. Organizing academic activities, even at international level, is his hobby. He excels in his responsibilities and expects the same from others. He is none else than the head Department of Education, Professor Vinay Kumar Chaudhary. May I invite you, sir, to kindly come and welcome the distinguished speakers, guests, and delegates of this international webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Welcome to all of you present in this Shanibar International Webinar. Good morning to all, ladies and gentlemen. I, Professor D.K. Chaudhary, at this virtual gathering for our good sake, feel abundant pleasure to be the part of this occasion for greeting you on behalf of University Department of Education and Lalit Narayan Vidyalaya. Our joy knows bounds that you all dignitaries present in our mission from many corners of our countries and world. What a great, beautiful experience to feel the thrilling slogan of Indian mythology, Vasudev Kutumbakam. I have pride to say this meet, may it be virtual, a global meet, undoubtedly. We would like to extend a special welcome to our chief guest, our Vice Chancellor, the presiding personality, and our scholars of great renown who are sharing this event glorifying with their shining presence, being very hard but very near like the sun and God. These are our techniques and scholars who are shouldered this beautiful and wonderful time. Now I will turn your attentive towards our subject, education, society and global changes, which is very important and recent during the pandemic. We have been facing our children, our youth, our society is just caring and caring for a few shape new dreams, new endeavors with great challenges of economic unemployment, ethics, and ideology. These all challenges have the best route to build our future only by virtue of education, which will make society ever stronger. Our this message and experience of eminent scholars must touch the heart of society, and they will become a better one after facing the huge and carry of this crusade corona. Wishing you all good days with us. Thanks you again for being with us. Welcome again, my revered friends. एक बात मैं आप लोगों को बतलाना चाहता हूं कि इस कार्यक्रम के उद्घाटन आदरणीय आरसीपी सिंह साहब को कोरोना हो गया। कोरोना पॉजिटिव होने के बाद उन्होंने मुझे पहले 22 तारीख को कार्यक्रम था, उन्होंने उनके ही कहने पर इसे 29 तारीख किया गया, लेकिन हम लोगों का एक दुर्भाग्य फिर आ गया कि उनको डॉक्टर ने कल फिर कह दिया कि आपको रेस्ट में ही रहना है, आपको रेस्ट में ही रहेंगे, जिस वजह से वो हम लोगों के बीच में नहीं रह पा रहे हैं। यह हम लोगों के लिए दुखद है, लेकिन हमें विश्वास है कि वह फिर से स्वस्थ हो जाएंगे और उन्होंने हमें आश्वस्त किया है कि अगले कार्यक्रम में मैं दरभंगा आकर के आप लोगों के कार्यक्रम में शामिल होगा। दूसरी बात, यह इस तरह के आयोजन के पीछे अगर किसी एक व्यक्ति का अगर योगदान मैं मानता हूं तो वो आरसीपी सिंह सर ही हैं। वो एक ऐसे व्यक्ति हैं जो मैं जब उनके पार्टी का जिलाध्यक्ष हूं, लेकिन वो मुझे कहते हैं कि आप जिलाध्यक्ष होते होते आपकी एक रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है एजुकेशनिस्ट की हैसियत से, जो आप बराबर सेमिनार वगैरह करते रहे उन्हीं के निर्देशन में, और यह सेमिनार करने के लिए मुझे आदरणीय वाइस चांसलर जी का भी निर्देश था, जिसके तहत डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ एजुकेशन एक साल के अंदर में एक राष्ट्रीय सेमिनार, एक अंतर्राष्ट्रीय सेमिनार और 13 प्रोफेसर उमाकांत चौधरी मेमोरियल लेक्चर व्याख्यान माला का आयोजन किया गया है। यह कल फिर हम लोगों का 14वां व्याख्यान माला होगा। इतने सारे जो कार्य डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ एजुकेशन का है उसमें हमें आरसीपी सिंह सर का एक प्रोत्साहन और एक निर्देश मिलता रहता है कि पार्टी के साथ साथ आप विभाग की जो जिम्मेवारियां हैं एज ए हेड उसका निर्वहन करते रहे। मैं आप लोगों की तरफ से मैं उनके प्रति आभार प्रकट करता हूं और भगवान से आशा करता हूं कि जल्द वो स्वस्थ होकर के हम लोग के बीच में रहेंगे। एक और हम लोगों के लिए खुशी की बात है कि हमारे बीच में अभी जो जितने हैं प्रेजेंट हो रहे हैं सभी अंतर्राष्ट्रीय ख्याति प्राप्त हो, चाहे अरविंद झा जी हो, चाहे अख्तर सिद्दीकी साहब हो, आरिफ हसन साहब हो, बहुत सारे विद्वान हमारे साथ हैं। एक उसमें से एक मीता बनर्जी भी हैं जो हमारे राष्ट्रीय सेमिनार में भी उपस्थित हुए थे। कल उनको बंगाल सरकार ने वाइस चांसलर नियुक्त किया है। यह हम लोगों के लिए एक सौभाग्य की बात है कि वो हमारे पार्टिसिपेंट्स हैं और कल ही उनको वाइस चांसलर नियुक्त किया गया है। इन्हीं चंद शब्दों के साथ मैं आप सभी का स्वागत करता हूं और पूरे विश्वास है कि आप लोग इस वेबिनार में भाग लेकर के कुछ न कुछ लाभ अवश्य समाज को और खुद प्राप्त करेंगे। धन्यवाद।
Thank you, Professor Vinay Kumar Chaudhary. It's indeed a privilege for the Department of Education as well as Education that today we have a panel of eminent speakers who will be giving the speech as part of the inaugural session. The university is blessed to have a very, very leading personality as the Vice Chancellor of our university. Though it's a very short time that the Vice Chancellor has taken up the responsibility of this university, he has shown his concern for different academic activities. We are privileged to have him with us today, and I humbly request Honorable Vice Chancellor to address the August gathering. Hence, now our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Rajesh Singh, will be addressing us in this inaugural session of the 3 days international webinar. A good leader has his own plan for taking the university on the levels of academic height according to his own plan. The leaders dream, practice,
मैं आप भी ज्वाइन करें
and achieve. It's rightly said that one who dreams can only achieve. You need to dream before you achieve. Hence, a good leader dreams, plans, and then achieves the target that he longs to. Mithila University is proud to have a vice chancellor who has his own plans of academic excellence. In these few months, each and every member of the university family has experienced his concern and plans of academic targets that he has planned. This 3 days international webinar is also a part of his plan target. And hence, we are privileged to hear his views, his ideas, and his suggestions for achieving the golden target. Will now be inviting our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Rajesh Singh, to address the August gathering of eminent scholars, speakers, and delegates.
It's not connected due to technical fault.
So, since our Vice Chancellor, due to some technical faults, is not yet connected, we shall move forward. And for this, I invite our popular Dean, Students Welfare, Dr. Ratan Kumar Chaudhary, to kindly come and address the August gathering. A scholar of among the students, Dean Students Welfare, Dr. Ratan Kumar Chaudhary, has always joined his hands in all the academic activities of the university. May I invite you, sir, to kindly come and address the August gathering. Dr. Ratan Kumar Chaudhary.
वो को देखना चाहिए ना अब करके लाइए आप ये किस किस्म ये क्या है
Our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Rajesh Singh, our And
Can you
our
hear me?
leader is
देखो क्या हो रहा है? क्या हो रहा है यार? देखिए. Hello, hello. Can you hear me? आप लोग सुन सकते हैं मुझे?
Sir.
So,
Yes, sir.
क्या हो गया?
जी, मैं सुन पा रही हूँ आप।
Yes, sir.
ठीक है. If you allow me, I can start. Please allow me to start. I heard the introductory introduction by the host. Good morning to everyone. I hope you are able to hear me. Uh, I'm just I was supposed to go to Patna today for one another meeting in Rajbhavan, but somehow I could manage yesterday, and I did the today's job also yesterday. So I'm free today. So I'm able.
Sir, you are muted.
You can hear me? Can you hear? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
yes,
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
honorable sir.
So,
Sir.
ladies and gentlemen, thank you for inviting me here in the Education Society and Global Challenges. I'm happy to be part of this program. This is really challenging to accept the global challenges today. Uh, I don't know. This is a very good topic. I don't know how many relevant speaker we have today because this is something very serious. And if you remember, our Honorable Prime Minister spoke on 8th August about new education policy. So he mentioned one of the things that internationalization of education, and particularly he especially mentioned how we'll stop our 8 lakh students who every year who goes abroad, especially in the US and Europe, and take admission. And this year, these students are not being allowed to have their student visa, particularly F1 visa in US. Almost 5 lakh students are going to US every year, and they are taking about more than 55,000 crores of rupees of Indian foreign exchange and depositing it to the US universities. So, do we have any alternative here in India? There is a big question. Our Prime Minister is asking, and our MHRD Minister are asking, our UGC Chairman asking, and many of our Vice Chancellor are wondering, can we accept this challenge? So this is what global challenge is. Are we are ready for globalization of education? Are we ready for internationalization of education? Why we don't have international ranking? We talk about good universities in India. We talk about Nalanda. We talk about Takshila. Where are today we? Can we come in top 250 university of the world? This is a global challenge. I feel we are not even preparing to accept that challenge. So these are the issues you have to debate. How to achieve internationalization of higher education? It's not that. It's not that. It's not that. It's simple. You talk about it and you get it. It is a serious business. First thing is that let us stop those 8 lakh student to Indian universities who are contributing just double of our budget in higher education to American university and European university. Can we stop? Can we have any plan? Can we offer any university can offer a degree equivalent to Harvard University or similar universities or Oxford universities or universities Paris? Can we stop them? That is challenge. So we are debating those things, and I wish you debate on this, and you come with some of the topic how to achieve that, how to stop that, how to satisfy our these student who has an international, uh, who has a who wish to be internationalized, who wish to have the best education, and they don't feel that our universities are competent enough to give the best international education. That is why they are going. They have money, they have everything, and they still we are not able to attract them. So these are the things we have to talk about it. Why Harvard is called Harvard? Why Cornell is called Cornell? Why Princeton, where Einstein came, called Einstein? Because these are the Ivy League universities, universities of excellence, universities of excellence in the world, and they have maintained their excellence. They all have 90% and 95% international student and 95% international faculty. Are we prepared for that? Any of Indian university are prepared for that? They are maintaining that. Recently, US Immigration Department announced that international student can go home, and because now literally 1 year we are going for online education, so there is no need to come in the campuses. So they said they can go to their home. Why to be there in America, or why to be there in uh, MIT? So I hope I am able audible. आप मुझे सुन सकते हैं ना? अजीत कुमार जी, अरे आप हमें विनय कुमार जी चौधरी जी सुन पा रहे हैं ना?
जी सर, सुन रहे हैं।
ठीक है, मैं बहुत जल्दी खत्म करना चाहता हूँ। मुझे कई चीज़ें हैं, कल सुप्रीम कोर्ट की एक हम लोग की बीएड के एग्ज़ाम की वो भी तैयारी करनी है, कल हमको सबमिट करना है। तो ये इश्यूज़ हैं, एंड ये सारी चीज़ें हैं, चीज़ें जो आ रही हैं। हमको ये इट्स वी शुड अंडरस्टैंड इट्स अ मार्केट ड्रिवन इकोनॉमी। मार्केट ड्राइव कर रही है इकोनॉमी को, और एजुकेशन को मार्केट से लिंक करना है। हम अगर केवल बड़ी बड़ी बातें करते रहेंगे कि हम फ्री एजुकेशन, सस्ती एजुकेशन, ठीक है, वो सब्सिडाइज कर रही है, बट दोज द गवर्नमेंट शुड कम विद दो सब्सिडी टू यूनिवर्सिटी. Problem with our government is that they will reduce the fees, but they will not look for the expenses of the university, how the university grow up. That's no problem. Our students are talented student, but we must have the facility which can make our infrastructure nationally and internationally equivalent. So those are the issues we have to think about. And I don't know how many international students we are having. We are having only around 47,000 international student India is getting. in comparison to more than 7,50,000 students are from India, they are going abroad. Those students from India going abroad, they are also having, some of them are having fellowship, but that percentage is very less, around 10%. But we are accepting those students from outside. They are basically from our neighboring countries, SAARC countries, and they are coming on the fellowship. Indian governments, mostly they are coming on the fellowship. Indian governments are offering. So these scenario are to be evaluated. Means those international students are contributing to economy of your university or economy of your country. So that is a globalization. That is a globalization. If only government is attracting them by giving fellowship because they are poor country, it is not going to solve our problem. Because if India has to become 5 trillion economy, means they have to come in top three countries: India, China, and US. So we have to compare. We have to compare with those how they are progressing. They we have accepted choice based credit system, but I am sorry to say that the way we have implemented here in Bihar, that's not a fully choice based credit system. This choice based credit system is basically a one step toward globalization of education. Means you choose the credit hours where you can plan your studies, and where these credit hour can be transferred to any university in the world. So that is the idea of credit based system and choice based credit system. So our if we are offering PG and asking our student to take up around 75 credit, and then we are giving in only same three in the 4 semester, we are offering in 4 semester, we are offering around 75 credit. Same international university for the same degree, are offering only 927 credit. So our 75 credits are comparable with the 75 credit. Those things, why they will value your 75 credit? Your credit hours are more, and your academic input is less. How you will comparable? How they will transfer the credit? So these are the issues you have to seriously think. And this, are our syllabus, are our credit hours are prepared to meet the globalization? If you take admission in some yeah, American university, even public sector university, from Indian student they will charge literally 1,000 to $2,000 per credit hour. Means how many credit hour they will teach, they charge it, fees is like that. So they have planned it, and those share of 1,000 credit hour is very clear. It goes to teacher, it goes to there. So these are the issues we have to deal with. I'm not going to talk more today. I was offered, why COVID has in fact, I say, if you go in Google and write blessing in disguise in education due to COVID or lecture banks, you will find my quotes in Google in Times of India and other places. Because this is the opportunity also. If we have to prepare, this COVID scenario should be taken as an opportunity to revamp our education system, because the education system are not going to be the same in the coming year. It is going to be something blended between online and offline education. And online education, if you implement seriously, if you are serious in this business, are more transparent, more satisfying. more better evaluating. I like to share you keep taking online exam in view as per advice of UGC and recommendation of uh, Rajbhavan Patna. Pune University has conducted all PG and PhD examination online, and literally they have declared result. Only we have not taken UG because there are more than 1 lakh student. So we are working. If we can work in one of the areas which has the lowest gross enrollment ratio in country, why not we can do it anywhere else? We have done. Students are very satisfying. We are resulting. So we have to experiment. We have to sit and experiment with us, make our system more transparent, make our system quick, make our things very timetable based, plan based. So those things we have to see, and I wish uh, this platform will be we will debate it, and some real good recommendation will come. Yesterday I was in Raj Bhavan. I also shared with one of the debates what's going on in US university, because these US universities, some of Indian students have a PhD fellowship, but they are not allowed to go in the campuses, so they are unable to complete their PhD thesis because they are not allowed. They have gone online, so they have, and their fellowship is expiring, their time is expiring. So there is a debate going on. Can we offer these US student with the fellowship to take admission in our university and complete our their degree? Can we go for dual degree? Lalit and Mithila University offer a degree, and Harvard is offering. We are offering two dual degree, and so that they can complete their PhD, writing their thesis in our campus. Can we provide such things? Can we come forward? There are such students. They want to come back in India, and this is the opportunity. We should change our regulation. We should alter our regulation to accept such decision. This step forward toward internationalization of education. So many things are there. We should our credit system, our syllabus are internationalized. They are tailored to so that it is acceptable to global society, global education society. So my good wishes are with you, all of you, and best of luck. And I'm thankful to Dr. Vinay Chaudhary for inviting me. I'm sorry I'm not able to give you enough time because preoccupation. Today I was not supposed to be there, but fortunately I'm here, so I'm with you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. We were just listening to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, and as introduced earlier, he has a very clear picture of how to go about and achieve academic excellence. He's a busy man, charge of 3 universities, and hence we clearly agree that he has paucity of time. Anyhow, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. An able administrator and man of discipline, our respected registrar, Colonel Nishit Kumar Rai.
Thank you, Dr.
So,
Thank you, Dr. Chaudhary. I will like to leave. Thank you so much.
thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for the time and your blessings. Thank you very much. And now, let me invite the popular Dean Students Welfare, Dr. Ratan Kumar Chaudhary, a scholar of chemistry and an achiever of the targets set by others. He is the coordinator of IQAC of Lalit Narayan Mittal University And that lightens up the scale of responsibilities that he carries on his shoulder. A man of academics, he's equally interested in conferences and webinars being held anywhere in the world. We are lucky to have him with us. May I invite you, sir, to kindly come and address the delegates and speakers. Dr. Ratan Kumar Chaudhary.
Thank you, Madam Putulji. Honorable Vice Chancellor of LNMU University, who has addressed the August gathering online. The Registrar of the University, Colonel Nishit Kumar Rai, sitting on the dais, Director, Distance Education, Dr. Ashok Kumar Mehta, the Controller of Examination, Dr. Satyendra Kumar Rai, Head of the Department of Education, Professor Vinay Chaudhary, eminent scholars connected to this webinar, the participants, prints and electronic media persons. At the very outset, I would like to thank Professor Vinay Chaudhary, Head of the Department of Education, who has invited me to this 3-day webinar, the topic of which is Education, Society, and Global Challenges. Friends, higher education today finds itself in a society in flux, and it is becoming increasingly difficult for education incumbents to keep it up. Almost everything developed for the 21st century is being dismantled and reconstructed. The higher education is no exception. We will have to acknowledge that the educational systems and pathways of the future will be better served by alternative, innovative models, which are now included in the new education policy 2020. Globalization and social media have made the world far from accessible and even before. At the same time, growth in income disparity have further created separate enclaves in the planet's population. The world of today is one of VUCA, the volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. Society would appear unrecognizable to our great grandparents. The intentive response is that the education we are providing for the youth should change radically. As we approach the first quarter of the 21st century, schools, universities, industries, and society at large are asking fundamental questions about education. We should accept that we are in a paradigm shifting age. Technological, demographic, social, environmental, economical, and political shifts are forcing us to redefine what our educational structure should be. The discussion has also widened from the inner circles of curriculum experts and researchers to the broader public. One thing I would like to focus that the indiscipline, criminalism, and terrorism has become the global problem. Few societies feel entirely sheltered from the risk of an attack. A climate of fear, mistrust will COVID-19 is an outcome of the institutions have to take security and support the community with coping mechanisms in aftermath of an attack. At the core of any response to the global challenges that face us in the questions of a person's character. The character can be determined through three core concepts: discipline, ethics, and emotional intelligence. Education plays a major role in growth and progress of a society. If citizens of a society are educated, they can provide significant contributions in the field of art, literature, science, technology, and others, and help in establishing a well-rounded, stimulating community. I again like to thank and the Department of Education who has given me this opportunity to come here and address this August gathering. I wish success of the 3-day seminar. Thank you. Thank you.
An able administrator and a man of discipline, our respected registrar, Colonel Nishit Kumar, is equally active among the academic activities of our university. May I invite you, sir, to kindly address this inaugural session. Registrar Colonel Nishit Kumar Rai.
Good morning to all of you. Respected Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir, DSW Sir, dignitaries on the dais, HOD Education, Professor Vinay Chaudhary Sir, all the participants and dignitaries in the hall, and other distinguished panelists who are online, and students. First of all, I would like to thank Department of Education for giving me the opportunity to take part in this, which is of utmost importance. Sorry for interruption in between. I'll just repeat. I would like to thank Professor Vinay Chaudhary sir for giving me opportunity to come and attend this and address in this particular webinar. It will be a great opportunity to listen to the distinguished panelists who are joining this webinar from all over the world. So my basic greed is basically to listen to them. But since I have been given this opportunity to speak, so I would like to say only two points in this particular thing, my address. Firstly, the topic is education, society, and global challenges. I have been interacting with students quite a bit over here. And I find that the most important thing which is missing amongst the students is the value system. If we can develop values in our students, then society by itself will improve. So in my understanding, the focus should be on developing the values. Why I am raising this particular issue is that we find that in our society, we are actually struggling with this particular thing. Everybody is demanding about their rights, but nobody is actually bothered about the duties. Similarly, when we link it to the global challenges, COVID is a new thing. But when COVID was not there, the bright students of our society, they were going out, they were studying. The parents and their relatives who had toiled hard to send them to foreign countries after having achieved a particular degree or position, they simply forget about their parents. And the parents, they stay here in India just simply wishing that their son or daughter, they will come back and spend some time with them. That is a big challenge which I feel. So, if this particular webinar of 3 days, because since we have international speakers also, so are we really facing these kind of issues in their countries also? Do they have such kind of issues there also? So if some of the speakers, if they address on this issue, then we will be able to take home few lessons. The second issue which our Honorable Vice Chancellor he raised in his particular talk is why we cannot attract international students. That provision is there. If we really go into details of National Institutional Ranking, NIRF, so there are points that how many international students are there in particular college or in particular university. If we talk of Bihar, we are lacking and we should take up this challenge that our colleges and the universities, they take part in that NIRF ranking thing. And if we start taking part in that, automatically our position will improve. Because we will try to address those issues which are there, which matter for ranking. So I hope during these 3 days, we'll be able to get few suggestions on which we can work. Resources are limited, but more than resources, the will is required. Will to succeed. So I wish all the success for this particular webinar. And once again, I thank Professor Vinay Chaudhary sir and Directorate of Distance Education for giving me opportunity to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice Chancellor. Thank you. And just as he was introduced, a man of discipline, that's what he is popularly known as in the university arena. For him, values come first before academics. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your inspiring speech. This international webinar on the topic Education, Society and Global Challenges has a big panel of eminent speakers from every corner of the world. Among the panel, we have more than 30 speakers who will be addressing us in the coming 2 days along with this inaugural day. To start with, let me invite Professor Muhammad Akhtar Siddiqui, who was a professor at the Jamia Millia Islamia a central university in New Delhi, a former chairperson of National Council for Teacher Education, NCTE, a national defense statutory body for teacher education under the Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India. He has to his credit several publications in journals, books to his credit, research papers, and etc., and many other academic activities. He is a member of many national professional organizations and official committees and editorial boards. A great scholar, we are indeed privileged to have Professor Muhammad Akhtar Siddiqui with us. May I request you, sir, to address this inaugural session. Professor Muhammad Akhtar Siddiqui.
I think Prof must mute his mic.
You hearing me now? Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, audible.
Okay. Very good morning to all the dignitaries to this webinar and the participants, the scholars from across the world. Indeed, a matter of pleasure for me to be a part of this webinar. As per the schedule, I think I have been given 6 minutes time, if I'm correct. Honorable Vice Chancellor, who could not stay because of his preoccupation, Professor Vinay Kumar Chaudhary, Professor Arif Saab, it's nice to see you again. Professor Arvind Kumar Jha Sahab, see you again. Of the university, other colleagues from the university and from across the world. The theme chosen for this webinar is certainly very, very significant today because of the fact that the world is growing very fast. Leave aside this period of interregnum of COVID. Otherwise, if we look at the growth pattern of the world during the last couple of decades, is growing very fast. And the interesting thing is that this faster growth is shifting from north to south, and the center or the gravity of development is now in favor of India, China, and some other Asian and African countries. It's a very good news that we are becoming, China, of course, is there, America is also there, but now the center and gravity of development is shifting to these places. But what is being observed commonly, not only in these countries, across the world, even in the West today, is that inequality is also growing along with this growth. And the world is becoming more unequal today. Disparity has increased, the distribution of wealth among the people is also increasing fast. And at the same time, this development is taking place at the cost of environment, at the cost of the rights of the future generations. And therefore, this fast climate change is affecting the rights of the people who are going to join this, the few generations on this earth. also rightly pointed out by the registrar that the issue is not only of economic development, material development of the people, is also of their health status. Unequal distribution of health facilities, healthcare facilities is also taking place in this world. That is also a very, very big challenge. Public health system is becoming costly and unaffordable for people. And there is a challenge of, in fact, how to make people be more ethical, more moral, more responsible towards others, towards the society, towards nature, towards the environment. That is a part of the character of the people. So, and then we are talking about expansion of the resources, of educational resources, of health resources, and other resources. But the issue remains that access to all these resources is still unequal. It has been found out that if you want to distribute economic resources, or health resources, or other uh, things, and develop people in their character, in their morality, in their ethics, etc., the central means, the central instrument, and all that is education. The researchers have shown that education is the single most important factor that not only ensures growth and development, that also ensures change in the behavior, change in the attitude of the people. But education of what kind? Education of quality. That is another real challenge, that we are imparting education, but at least in our society, I can say that large number of people are not able to have access to education of quality. So there is an issue of equality of access, and there is an issue of equality of success also. And when we say equality of success, we bring all dimensions of education. Education which ensures holistic development of the individual. The new education policy, the national policy in education 2020, is talking about holistic development of the individuals, and it talks about character building. It talks about skill development. It talks about cognitive development, but in a balanced manner. So cognitive development also should take place along with uh, the skill development, competency development, and character building of the people. And perhaps if character building is included as an essential ingredient in the education process, then the issue of responsible behavior towards others, towards environment, towards sustainable development can also be ensured. So I think in India, the national education policy has to come to a better course with time, and we can have a deep relook at the entire plan, the programs of education, the curriculum, the teacher preparation, development of teachers, and process of education, and we can ensure that yes, uh, all these challenges of unequal distribution of wealth, inequality among people, in educational arena, in economic field, in social, and in the health sector can be addressed. I think it was rightly pointed out by the Vice Chancellor that COVID should be thought of as not only as a disruptor, also as an opportunity. COVID has shown us that if we behave responsibly, then perhaps we can have better environment around us. We can be at peace with nature. We can live a better life. We can have better environment to live, and therefore it will be more comfortable. Of course, it has provided number of points to ponder over it. It has provided us a gauge as to what
आवाज तो नहीं आ रही है।
Sir, your mic is muted.
क्या है?
नहीं आ रही आवाज सर। बिल्कुल नहीं आ रही आवाज।
आवाज नहीं आ रही है सर।
आवाज नहीं आ रही है। अब आ रही है आवाज?
Yes, yes, yes. Please go ahead, sir. Again, you are muted.
Okay, is it okay?
It's okay.
Uh,
Go ahead, sir.
so I would like to conclude, because I have taken 8 minutes now. I would like to conclude that we will have to focus on quality of education, equitable access of quality education, and we will have to also pay attention on the holistic development of the individual. And when I'm talking about holistic development of education, I would say that we should be able to develop critical thinking abilities of the learner, creative ability of the learner, where we make people decide independently as what is right, what is wrong. We should be able to, they should be able to make choices, and they should be able to make use of their talent, their abilities fruitfully. So it's a very, very important challenge for education itself, how to reformulate the entire content and process of education. Many a time, and in the past, we have been able to reorganize our curriculum or content of education, but the process could not be addressed satisfactorily. We brought many changes in the process of education also, but yet that remains a challenge for us. So I
आवाज नहीं आ रही है सर।
basically is it okay?
It's okay, sir. It's okay.
So let us focus on ensuring equality of opportunity and equity in access and success of education, where education of satisfactory quality with holistic development of each individual is ensured. Through that route, perhaps you'll be able to address many challenges, particularly the challenge of the sustainable development, challenge of unemployment, challenge of character, challenge of equal distribution of wealth, and challenge of equal distribution of growth. We'll be able to address. I would like to stop over here and wish this webinar a great success. Professor Vinay Kumar Chaudhary ji, are you hearing me? Uh,
Yes, sir.
okay. As I was supposed to be very brief, so I have presented my view.
सर आपका फिर म्यूट हो।
ठीक है भाई।
Our system is
सर म्यूट, हाँ।
हो गया है? Hello, are you hearing me? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I hand over the floor to Professor Vinay Kumar Chaudhary. Okay. I'm sorry that it caused a lot of disturbance in my presentation.
Sir, you are audible. You may continue.
Hello. Okay.
Yes, sir. Please continue.
Yeah. So I was referring to the national policy on education, which has come at an opportune time, at a very appropriate time, which addresses goals.
Oké, nou dat die professor en dan moet ek praat.
That we are facing at the present scenario. These different forms of disturbances that come in between the speeches are actually the challenges that we need to ponder upon. Since internet connections, server problems regarding bandwidth, are few disturbing elements in these virtual seminars. We need to have a little patience. Few respected delegates are able to mute themselves, and sometimes this disturbs the coming speeches of eminent speakers. During the presentation of Professor Muhammad Akhtar Siddiqui, let me name a particular delegate, Rajiv Kumar Agrawal. We kept on requesting him to mute his speaker, but he kept on unmuting himself, and that caused a lot of disturbance. Respected delegates, kindly mute yourself so that you can listen to the speeches which are going to have invaluable suggestions of the challenges that we are facing at present as well as that we are going to face in future. थोड़ा सा सब्र रखें, थोड़ी सी धैर्य दिखाएं, अपने आप को म्यूट कर दें, क्योंकि तभी आप ये जो विद्वान हैं इनके विचारों को सुन पाएंगे, समझ पाएंगे और अपने आप को उनके अनुसार ढालने का प्रयास करेंगे, क्योंकि ये वो स्पीकर्स हैं जिनका इन विषय पर काफी पकड़ है। रिस्पेक्टेड माननीय डेलीगेट्स, मैं पुनः आपसे अनुरोध करती हूं कि आप अपने आप को म्यूट कर लें, अपने माइक को ऑफ कर लें। The next eminent speaker that we are going to hear from is Professor Arif Hassan. Professor Hassan is an honorary senior research fellow at the International Islamic University, Malaysia. He has served this university for over 2 decades as a professor of organizational behavior and human resource management. He was twice nominated by the Planning Commission of India as working committee member for the formulation of primary and non-formal education standards. Dr. Hassan has written on several books along with the award for the best paper in the 76th Academy of Management Conference, United States of America, who now lives with his family in Canberra and is engaged in several academic work, including serving as the chief editor of International Journal of Medicine. May I have the privilege of inviting Dr. Arif Hassan for his speech in the inaugural session. Professor Arif Hassan. Sir, please.
Hello and good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So you unmute.
Just
Okay.
hearing you, sir.
Lot of noise coming from. All right. So greetings to all of you from Australia. Although it's morning over there, here it is evening.
Off છે સર.
आरिफ साहब आप अनम्यूट हैं अपने आप को। आरिफ साहब आप म्यूटेड हैं, आप अपने आप को अनम्यूट करिए। हाँ, नाउ इट्स ओके, प्लीज गो अहेड।
Okay, so let me start again. First of all, greetings from Canberra, Australia, and good morning to all of you in India. It's going to be evening here, around 5 in the evening, while you are still in this morning in India. I was listening very patiently to the talks that have been given so far, and a lot of issues have been highlighted. Let me begin by saying that the theme of this webinar is very, very timely. We just have got our new education policy. This policy we find that this policy is very comprehensive, very futuristic. A lot of new things have been suggested, but my worry is how we are going to implement that. The kind of administrative system that we have in India, its bureaucracy, and also the state Hello, hello.
We are listening you, sir.
आ रही है आवाज, आ रही है सर।
Okay. All right. So now what I'm trying to suggest is that the current situation, particularly of the higher education in India, is not 2016, and they say that 68% of institutions are of middle or poor quality. 68% of the college universities in India are of either middle or poor quality. This there is a very high degree of unemployability of our graduates, right? Because of the kind of education that we provide to them. We also, the report also says that the universities and colleges have got very poor quality of teachers. The quality of teachers are also not very good. So, given these kind of situations, how do we, think that we are going to really match the level of quality that we need? Well, the new education policy suggests a lot of measures, but my worry is that unless we have, kind of management which really takes care of some of these administrative issues, we will end up, wasting a lot of resources, a lot of money. I remember, long time back in 1996 or 1997, I was working in Bihar with the Bihar Education Project as the project officer. And when we started this project, this Bihar Education Project, we were in the mission mode. There were a lot of enthusiasm, there were a lot of zeal. We used to work very hard for 10, 12, 14 hours sometimes. We had some very good team members, very good leader. Our director was Manmohan Jha, late Manmohan Jha, who was very hardworking. And so we had a different kind of culture implementing our project. But then came the DPEP, a very large scale program, the nationwide, and the entire program was handed over to the existing educational administrative setup. What happened after that, we know that. It has simply been, kind of bureaucratic things that is happening over there. There's a lot of noise coming. I don't know. A lot of noise coming. Anyway, now when we are talking about the future challenges, let me tell you, there are some very alarming developments. The world is changing very fast, as our respected Professor Diti have said. The world is changing very fast. Look at, a few months ago, we were meeting face to face in Darbhanga and having a very interesting meeting over there, international conference. And since then, it's 5 months now that we have to resort to this new technological device, the webinar. And we are trying to, adapt to these very rapid technological changes that is taking place. Now, similarly, when the world is changing so fast, we have to think about what kind of education, what kind of training, what kind of skills, what kind of competencies that we need to see, that our students develop. Okay, there are reports like the Dell technical report suggests that 85% of the jobs which will be available in the next decade, 2030, have not yet been invented. 85% of the job have yet not been invented. That will be coming in 2030. That's the situation. Similarly, the World Economic Forum report says that 65% of primary school children will be working in jobs that do not exist today. 65% of the jobs will be available for those children who are in primary school now. So fast, the world is changing so fast. How we are going to adapt to these changes? What kind of education? What kind of knowledge and skill base that we need to develop among them? That is the issue that needs to be discussed in this webinar. I'm sure you all will be discussing all those things and would be coming up with some useful suggestions. See, we talk about quality. There is no substitute for quality. And we also say in management that there is no substitute for good management. Okay, unless we have got good management, we're not going to achieve anything. And when we talk about good management, it begins from the recruitment and selection of the good quality of staff, and then to train them, then to motivate them, then to reward and recognize them, and then to evaluate their performance. That's called the good management. Are we capable of that? Do we have that kind of system where we really attract and get the best quality of teaching staff, best quality of administrative setup, administrators? All right. Are we able to really motivate them in a way, recognize the performance of those who are good? So these are the issues that needs to be debated in this webinar, and I hope that some very useful suggestions will emerge from 3 days of deliberations. I was given only 6 minutes time to speak to that, so I think let me now stop here and say you all thank you very much. Thanks to our good friend Prof. Binay Chaudhary for inviting me and organizing this webinar, which is really very good in the context of Bihar.
Thank you, Professor Arif Hasan sir. To Professor Arif Hasan. Now, listen to the speech of Dr. Andrei from Russia. Dr. Andrei Gorokov, a renowned eminent political scientist, is the chairman of the non-profit organization and in charge of humanitarian projects. An academician, he is the publisher and editor-in-chief of Russian Political Science Journal. May I have this privilege of inviting Dr. Andrei Gorokov for his speech in the inaugural session. Sir.
Dear colleagues, good afternoon. I am very happy to welcome participants of the online conference, Education, Society and Global Challenges from the capital of Russia, Moscow. India and Russia successful cooperation in the field of education. Last year, about 5,000 students came to Russia to study at Russian universities. I hope this cooperation will continue. In 2020, the education system in India, Russia, and other countries is under great pressure because of the COVID-19 virus. Many schools and universities have been closed. According to UNESCO, this problem has affected 1.5 billion, or 87% of all students in the world. But thanks to informational technologies, online education, universities and schools continue to work. New digital technologies help to solve the crisis. But except online education, the new digital technologies also deal
Andre, you unmute yourself. Andre, you unmute yourself. Andre, you unmute yourself. Yeah, okay, okay, go ahead.
Oh.
All right, go ahead.
New digital technologies help to solve the crisis. But except online education, the new digital technologies also deal with artificial intelligence and virtual reality. And I think that the main issue of education development today is how to combine traditional forms of education and new informational technologies. The future of education in every country and around the world depends on the answer to this question. I hope that the conference participants will discuss this issue and other issue related to the development of education system. Thank you for inviting me to participate in the conference. I wish all participants an interesting discussion. Many thanks.
Thank you, Andre.
Thank you, sir. We were just listening to Dr. Andre Gorakhar and about his views on development of education system. And now I invite the renowned author and the scholar of economics, Satya Saurabh Khosla from Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Satya Saurabh Khosla, the eminent scholar of economics, is an alumni of the prestigious St. Stephen's College, New Delhi, and has many popular books to his credit. He is known for his predictions about the biggest economic recession in the world in the year 2008 and 2020. His Holiness Dalai Lama has recognized his contribution to apply ancient wisdom to benefit the widest number of people in the whole world. I'm privileged to invite Satya Saurabh Khosla for his speech in the inaugural session. Sir, please.
Dignitaries, scholars, delegates, Professor Rajesh Singh, PRCP Singh, Professor Jha, Professor Binay Chaudhary. What is the purpose of education? It is to produce tomorrow's citizens who can fill the future with hope, who have an innovative mindset, who are joyful, blissful, and add value to society by adding value to themselves. With this background, let us look at education, society, and global challenges. So, what is the global challenge that society is facing, which education can solve? And is this challenge as big as the epidemic of COVID 19 or the recession? This is the issue that this presentation will examine. A workshop was held by the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, Medicine in USA. It had a keynote address by Professor Neil Halfon, the director of UCLA, the University of California, and professor at its School of Medicine. He said that mental, behavioral, and development problems are at epidemic levels among children in the United States. Nearly 3/4 of the cumulative prevalence of mental health problems have their onset before the age of 25. Professor Tweng of San Diego State University has written in February only, in February 2020, in the Physicians Weekly that, and I quote, "The epidemic is all too real." In fact, mental health issues among teens and young adults is nothing short of staggering, she says. From 2000, let us give some examples. Let us look at the data. From 2009 to 2017, major depression among 20 to 21-year-olds has more than doubled. And in case we feel the initial figure was small, it was 7%, it has now gone to 15%. Among 16 to 17-year-olds, it has risen by 69%. From 2008 to 2017, among the 18 to 25-year-olds, what they call in psychology serious psychological distress has jumped up by 71%. Twice as many 22 to 23-year-olds attempted suicide in 2017 versus 2008. 55% more had suicidal thoughts. By 2017, 1 out of 5 12 to 17-year-old girls had experienced major depression in the previous year. So the crisis is there till the age of 25. Can education respond to this challenge? We may find something to cure COVID-19. We may find some remedy for it. But what is this remedy for this crisis that we are not acknowledging? The challenge, as this data relates to USA, shows that it does not relate to prosperity. We are seeking through our education prosperity. The challenge, the data shows, is not related to prosperity. It is related to what we call the human mind. Using the words of ancient wisdom, the challenge is not in the outer world. It is in the inner world. What does education teach us? Education teaches us how to use factors of production. It then teaches us how to create efficiency and increase investments. Finally, it may even help us to innovate and create unique value. That is what we hope education to do. When Ronald Reagan was the President of the United States of America, he picked up the eminent Harvard professor Michael Porter to find out what makes America so prosperous, so successful. And Professor Porter identified 4 stages of economic development. The first is a factor-driven stage, which I just said. You are using your factors of production very well. The second is the investment-driven economy. The third is the innovation-driven economy. We have to look for that. But the final stage is wealth-driven, which is a decline stage. And this is the research, what has been shown. We are looking at just a single-minded focus on wealth, which has been identified as the decline stage of the economy. So can we relook at the whole idea of education in a different way? That becomes the question. Education should prevent decline of society. This was the approach of our ancient wisdom to education. In world history, many civilizations have prospered. However, many of them have gone into decline. There is an old saying, यूनान मिश्र रोमा सब मिट गए जहां से. कुछ बात है कि हस्ती मिटती नहीं हमारी. Can we today discover वो क्या बात है कि हस्ती मिटी नहीं हमारी civilization? So what are the education ideas that have sustained our ancient civilization? Can they be integrated in concepts of modern curriculum? That becomes the challenge. As I have discussed in my previous presentations, the OECD is a collection of the richest economies of the world. It started with the 20 richest democracies, and today it has about almost 35 to 39 participants. The OECD found that despite spread of education in the two major revolutions that we had, that is the Industrial Revolution and the Digital Revolution, there was a huge spread of education. Despite this education and the economic progress that came because of this education, there was a lot of social pain. What was the cause of the problems? Was it the interpretation of how we create wealth? And was this interpretation drawn from Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations? Did the idea of profit maximization as a single-minded pursuit lead to ignoring the impact of such behavior on society and the environment? These are the questions. The interpreters in economics forgot that Adam Smith had also written the theory of moral sentiments. These two works were studied independently of each other, even though they were from the same author. The 2008 recession showed that these ideas can bring the world to its knees. And education was the cause of these problems. Or was it? We have to examine this. I see that somebody has a question. Now, thank you. Did the problems increase after Adam Smith? Did they increase after the 1850s? What happened in the 1850s? After I will approach this issue in my presidential address later. Was the idea of scientific materialism of 1850s responsible for an approach that ignored the importance of the centrality of human happiness and well-being? I quote this approach of scientific materialism as it emerged in the 1850s. It said, and I quote, that human beings, like all other subjects, are material entities. That was the first assumption. The second assumption was that the human mind does not exist as an entity distinct from the human body. How did they explain the thoughts, human thoughts? They had a very funny explanation. They said just as the liver in the human body excretes bile, the brain excretes thoughts. This became the basis of their whole scientific materialism, which is the basis of our curriculum design. And I will discuss and give more details at another time. So what is the solution? Let's look at the solution. as time is short for me today. What is the solution? Let's say according to the OECD, the wealthiest democracies in the world, what is their solution? It is clear that a cold-blooded approach to maximizing self-interest at the cost of society harms all. 2008 has made this clear. Therefore, the OECD now realizes that a solution is not just in a single-minded pursuit of prosperity. Therefore, they have replaced this with a focus on well-being as the goal. And this they seek to achieve by 2030. So, what can achieve this goal? That is what their report says. And if you look at their report, they seek values and attitudes with which knowledge and skills should be used. And creating values and attitudes is just what our ancient Indian tradition and ancient Indian wisdom is all about. So let's forget ancient Indian wisdom. Let's look at modern psychology. What does modern psychology say? Modern psychology also believes there's a psychologist called Maslow. He has given a needs hierarchy where he says that first we need to look after our food, clothing, shelter. Then when those needs are fulfilled, we go to safety and security needs. Then we go to our social needs. We are social animals. Then when social needs are fulfilled, then we want self-esteem. We want status. And after all these needs are fulfilled, we are ready for self-actualization, which means we work because work itself satisfies us and gives us joy. In ancient Indian tradition, if we were to use an equivalent word, we would call it moksha. So if we look at all these economies, which OECD represents the wealthy democracies of the world, and if we look at the work of Professor Halfon, Twenge, etc., and see the data, are they all ready for moksha? Are all the social problems, are they all ready for self-actualization? Is the future, are the students who are coming out of them ready for these things now that their basic needs, their social needs, they're recognized? Wherever you go with their passport, it is recognized as a global, as you are somebody. But are they ready for self-actualization after meeting these needs? So where has the whole idea of education gone wrong? Can we examine the basis? And only Indian tradition has the capacity to analyze the basis. Let's look at the social behavior of 2020. Have people shown right values and right attitudes that OECD seeks? Now, OECD agrees that the purpose of education is not just prosperity. Education, they say, must change the quality of human life, especially in society. And 2020 has provided a litmus test, जिसे कहते हैं दूध का दूध और पानी का पानी कर दिया. It tells us whether education has transformed society or not. Can we look at social behavior all over the world that we consider developed? Is this the benchmark to follow? Can we then blindly follow their education? Ultimately, education is there to transform social behavior. And since we have sent so many of our children there over so many decades to learn from them, can we learn from the resultant social behavior that this education has produced? 3 tests are important. Has their social behavior shown unity? Has their social behavior shown discipline? Has it shown a willingness to sacrifice for others? It has in many situations, but not all. On the other hand, if we were to say, let us go back to our ancient wisdom, we don't know if all that is ancient is really wise. So we have to take the best of both the worlds. We have to remove the wheat from the chaff, whether it be in ancient wisdom or it be in modern curriculum. How do we do that? That becomes the question. What can make well-being goal of OECD difficult to achieve? Well, if well-being goal is interpreted in the same single-minded pursuit as prosperity was, that I am the center of the universe, it will face the same, it is likely to face the same problems. The 2008 crisis was due to financial risks. The MBAs were blamed for it and their curriculum was blamed for it. There is a research done which shows how the same ideas of the MBA curriculum, the same theories, the same concepts can be integrated with our ancient wisdom. I will give a brief example how curriculum can be designed, merging the two. It is a real possibility. Allow me 2 minutes. What is strategy? Business is about strategy. Even profit maximization is a strategy. So all that business management teaches you is a strategy. Now, what is a strategy? A strategy is simply a way of achieving a goal. So what did ancient Indian wisdom do? It gave us 4 goals of life. So these were called the Purusharthas. Then following the 4 Purusharthas becomes what? The strategy of living life. And this strategy of living life for the individual and for society simultaneously. And it has been tested for thousands of years. If you look at the data, economic data, and you project it back, you will see that the Indian economy has been one of the most prosperous economies. That is why all the invaders, the only evidence, one evidence is needed. Why did invaders come? Because you were prosperous. If prosperity was not there, there is no motivation for the invaders to come. So what created that prosperity? Prosperity was because of the strategy of living life. Can we integrate that into business? That has been done in this research. How? Let us see. All topics under Artha are topics like total quality management. And what comes under Kama? Desire fulfillment, competitive strategy. So what is important? Important is the pairing of goals. That dharma guides artha, righteous conduct guides business, and moksha guides kama. And what is moksha? Moksha is the compatibility of the individual with the society, with nature. Moha plus kshaya. When you जब मोह का क्षय हो जाए तो वो मोक्ष है. So what do we say? Gita says the same thing. Karmanye vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. So do your duty irrespective. Moh mat rakho. That is moksha. Then whatever you do is compatible with needs of society, and this is what mathematicians would call a win-win solution. So it is not outside the range of possibility to integrate current ideas of curriculum in our academic curriculum with ideas and concepts of ancient Indian wisdom. Only we should know how to do it. If we look at the national education policy and view what the World Economic Forum finds as the skills needed for 21st century, they find that 2/3 of the skills don't have anything to do with foundational literacies. They have to do with character qualities and competencies like creativity. So we come to the basic question, how did ancient Indian education inculcate ethics as a basis of education to meet the challenge? I do not have much time today, so I will not go into the fact that OECD seeks values in education, and these values in our ancient Indian tradition, we believe that these values should unite society and the world. It should be acceptable to all. So can we identify values? There is another research which is done which looks at, similarly, as we have done for the MBA curriculum, which looks at the curriculum of mathematics, sciences. These are two subjects that plan for prosperity. And looks at the curriculum ideas of economics and management. These are the two subjects which plan and lead prosperity. How can we integrate, like I have shown in the MBA curriculum, the ideas in all these subjects with ancient wisdom? That has been done, and that can be shared later. So this is the way, it is. We should not be without hope. We should be full of hope. And let me end with a small example.
Satyarapji, I request you please conclude now, and we will love to listen in the valedictory session. Right.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you,
And
sir.
please take your maximum time in that. We would love to listen to you in great extent. I know you are a profound writer, a profound thinker as well.
Thank you, sir. So we were just listening to Mr. Khosla and his views on the purpose of education. And now I invite Dr. Vinay Kumar Chaudhary, retired professor of zoology, Lalit Narayan Mitra University, for his views on the topic of the webinar. Professor Chaudhary. Professor Jha.
Well, I didn't know. I was not ready, but anyway, I thought I'll be speaking in the end. I'll not take much time, I think. But before I share my views, I would like to thank the wonderful organizer of this conference, Professor Binay Chaudhary ji, and the registrar of this university, Dr. Nisit Rai, all my co-panelists, particularly friends from Sweden, Professor Zoran, whom we are going to thank. Thank you, Zoran, accepting our invitation and being part of this. Satya Saurabhji, who is a very busy man, a profound thinker and writer, but still spare time for us. Andrei Gorokov, a good political scientist from Russia. Just few months back, he gave me an opportunity to speak for the Russian audience. And my friend Michael, again this morning we had a nice chat, and then he is also with us. Dinesh Singh ji from Thailand, who kindly agreed to this. And we have all listened to our seniors and elders, Arif Saab, and one of the leading stars in the field of education, former chairman NCT, Professor Mohammad Akhtar Siddiqui Saab, and many others. Friends, I'll not take more than 7 to 8 minutes. And within 7 to 8 minutes, I would like to conclude myself. See, people are talking about that when we talk about education, society, and the global challenges, as my all predecessors have pointed out, that the entire world is passing through difficult situation. My only question is, why is it so? Why is it so? Despite the fact that we claim that science has attained its pinnacle in its glory, but still science is not capable to contain this pandemic at the world level. You know what is the condition in the United States of America? When on one panel, some American professors were there. I had also a chance to be there. And then I raised this question there. Then you know the condition of the Brazil, you know the condition of the Russia even, and many other, forget about the top European so-called advanced countries, rich country in terms of education, health, and societal infrastructure. You all know the data is in place. It's not right time to talk about those data. as Professor Siddiqui rightly said, the inequality is the key. Yes, I do agree. And that's why in today's time, equitable access to education, health, and as Satya Saurabh ji has rightly said, quality of life and quality of living, more important. But have you noticed what has gone in last 8 months or 10 months after COVID-19 pandemic? Yeah, many of you may agree with me. It has given a birth of not only the medical or the biological challenge or the social challenge or the economic challenge to face all of us. It has also thrown into a condition which has created a new kind of untouchability. See, when I'm saying untouchability, maybe many of you might be uncomfortable with this concept, but see the kind of untouchability. I have always maintained a point that social untouchability is a more dangerous than any other kind of untouchability. But see the kind of untouchability. If a corona patient is there in your own family, you are advised not to touch your own mother, father, son, daughter, wife, or anybody on the earth. And that's why those who talk about, when OECD was quoted over here, that the old wealth drive is the right solution. I'm really surprised that why the educationists of today are highly obsessed by the term quality itself. The term quality itself is a contested terminology in the field of education. Why and how? Definitely, maybe next time in the next session when I'll talk about. And when Professor Arif Hassan was talking about that the majority of the Indian students are not employable at all. So, according to my understanding of the comparative understanding of educational system of the world, you are far profound in this term than I am. But as per my understanding, the most powerful education minister of the world is none other than the Minister of United Kingdom, England. And if you compare the power of education minister, that United Kingdom Minister of Education possess, no education minister in the world possess the same. Because the moment he puts a signature on any law, that becomes a law in that country. In last almost 20 days or 15 days, I have delivered 20 lectures on NEP. And people are eulogizing NEP like anything. Despite the fact National Education Policy 2020 doesn't have any legal power. It's just a policy. But why I have quoted the UK ministers here? Because he made a statement in the parliament that majority of the product of universities of England are not employable in Europe itself. And it's on record. And that's why my humble request to all of you, we need to conceptualize the concept of education beyond employability, beyond economic prosperity, beyond wealth-driven, as Saurabh has rightly said. Now the question is what education should do. The digital divide once again has become very important factor, important problem in India to address. I'm surprised by the data ministries are presenting. I'm surprised by the data universities are presenting. Not only in India, sir. Recently, Michael has done one of my friends in UK, and he has done a comparative picture of European countries and American. There, forget about these two countries. In Harvard Business School, data is startling. Only 68% people are taking online classes. So it's all our world. This has become a problem. Now, what is the solution? How to rethink education? So I have three suggestions only. The first, we need to think about whether you are teaching mathematics or sciences. Like me, like a mathematics person. Many of you, economics and the commerce and the sciences. Satya Sarabji, a great economist, and many others. My friend Michael Van Wyck teaches economics pedagogy. I would like to talk about the relational rationality is the solution to any kind of untouchability that is going to take place in the world. How to overcome this untouchability? So relational rationality and relational emotionality, not absolute rationality and absolute emotionality. At the same time, aware of the work of the Damasio, who says, and who did a pioneer work, no emotionality in this world is possible without rationality, and no rationality is possible without emotionality. And the second one, transformational ability or transformationality, to be able to transform in the situation you are, whether you were in the situation pre-COVID-19 pandemic, or you are in the situation of the during the COVID-19 period or the post-COVID-19 pandemic period. So how to transform? And for that, as Satyarabji has just slightly mentioned, do you know the NFS strategy? And a strategy not for the successful business operations, but the successful life operations. So beautifully, he explained the meaning of moksha, to be compatible with the nature and yourself. And the role of transformation is that if I have got the good mathematical understanding, and with the help of that, I'm not going to transform myself and helping others to transform themselves to be one with the nature, then what is the use of studying mathematics to that extent, which is considered the discipline no other discipline can match? And for that, yesterday, I was on the panel where 15 Korean companies, giants were there. I was sharing this with Satya Saurabhji. And one of the guys, Xiong Zin, very brilliantly presented the idea. And I think we education people should consult that work. I'll definitely tomorrow or day after tomorrow, when I'll talk about that. Or maybe when I'll chair the session, I'll talk about that. It is called the philosophical reasoning, not logical reasoning. Now, you may raise a question, what is the difference between philosophical reasoning and the logical reasoning? When you say logical reasoning, it means absolute reasoning, which has nothing to do with the ethics and ethicality of the life. When you talk about the philosophical reasoning, it not only help you to understand the epistemic of your knowledge and understanding, but also the ethics, which you call the axiological understanding, and the metaphysical understanding. So the three documents I will suggest, because the young friends are associated with me. One, which was published by UNESCO in 1972. And I'm sure you must have read that. And again, after a long time, just to address this, I was reading last night. And that is a learning to be. Because at time and again, I have said, you don't teach what you know, you teach what you are. You teach what you have made yourself. So learning to be, the world of education today and tomorrow, which was published in 1972 by UNESCO publications only. It is also known as For a Report. And the second one, you all know, Learning the Treason Within, which was published again this, Dallas Report, 1996. But what was it that both these reports could not capture the essence of human existence, where education need to take care of itself, and only then societal transformation is possible. And that is when it talks about learning, which I called in, if I summarize Dallas report in one sentence, then I'll summarize, do learn to be knowledgeable. And that's why this report says learning to be, learning to learn, learning to know, and learning to, you all know. But the best thing that they forgot to mention, that is a learning to transform. So they are not the 4 pillars of education. There is a need to have the 5 pillars of education and transformation. And transformation for what? Transformation is not there to realize yourself. or actualize yourself, as Saurabh ji has said, transform to be one with your nature. And here comes the role of Indian concept of moksha, friends. So to prevent a decline in the society, we need to have, more epistemic oriented, which requires not only so-called the facts and the figures, but also the wisdom. And for that, you need to make capable the capable enough to understand that human capability are the keys for coexistence. हमने सब कुछ सीखा, हमारे धर्मों ने सब कुछ सिखाया, हमारी शिक्षा ने अब तक सब कुछ सिखाया, हमें सब ने एक चीज नहीं सिखाया, सह अस्तित्व के साथ कैसे जीना। और जब तक मनुष्य अपने के साथ या मनुष्य मनुष्य के साथ सह अस्तित्व के नहीं सीखेगा, और तब तक वह प्रकृति के सह अस्तित्व में निवास नहीं कर पाएगा। इसलिए मित्रों, बधाई प्रोफेसर विनय चौधरी जी को कि उन्होंने ये कॉन्सेप्ट रखा, एजुकेशन, सोसाइटी और ग्लोबल चैलेंजेस, पूरा का पूरा वर्ल्ड। अब आप देखिए, मैं पढ़ रहा था इंटरनेशनल डे कि उनके पास स्टूडेंट्स ही नहीं है, किसको पढ़ाएंगे वो, किसको पढ़ाएंगे वो? अगर इंडिया और चाइना नहीं जा रहा है तो ऑस्ट्रेलिया की एजुकेशन सिस्टम ठप हो जाएगी, स्टूडेंट्स नहीं है। यूएस के पास पैसा नहीं होगा कमाई के लिए, सिंगापुर की हालत खराब है, पूरे वर्ल्ड की खराब है। अब कहेंगे तो इंडिया कौन आएगा? आएगा, और इंडिया आ रहा है। जस्ट गिव 1 to 2 decades. People like Sat Saurabh, my friend OSK Sastry and others, if we'll go back to the Indian system, जिसको बहुत खूब सत्य सौरभ जी ने कहा, कुछ तो बात है हम में कि हमारी हस्ती मिटी नहीं है अभी तक और कभी नहीं मिटेगी, और उसके लिए आवश्यकता है कि हम स्वधर्म को पहचानें और शिक्षा को नई तरीके से परिभाषित करें। और उसके लिए सबसे जरूरी है, जैसा कि मैंने कहा, रिलेशनल रैशनैलिटी और रेशनल इमोशनैलिटी, ट्रांसफॉर्मेशनैलिटी टू बी कंपेटेबल विद द नेचर। और इसी के साथ मैं अपनी वाणी को विराम दूंगा और प्रोफेसर विनय चौधरी जी को एक बार फिर से धन्यवाद दूंगा कि मुझे मौका दिया बोलने के लिए। आप सबका धन्यवाद।
We were just listening to Professor Arvind Kumar Jha. We were just listening to Professor Arvind Kumar Jha, and the synopsis of his speech that deals with the need to move beyond the relation of education and economic needs. He'll be giving us a more clearer view in the coming 2 days on learning to transform, that is, to be one with the nature. We are looking forward to his speech, and thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now I invite Dr. Vinay Kumar Jha, retired professor of zoology, Lalit Narayan Mitra University, to address the audience. Dr. Vinay Kumar Jha.
Well, actually, I came to this webinar. I myself requested Professor Vinay Chaudhary to give me some time, because I'm not an expert, but I've been a media man. I want to tell something which this webinar is expected to deliver. Point is that this education, society, and global challenges, okay? Education, society, and global challenges. What sort of education? Education should be for welfare of the society. For welfare of the society. And society should be to educate everybody. Society should be able to educate everybody. So in that reference, this is my relevance. On this point I want it. So this should happen. Another point is that I have read your themes. Challenges and opportunities in education during pandemic. Okay. Challenges are there. The opportunities are also taken.
What sort of opportunity? This webinar. Now, what happened? The physical seminar is being replaced by webinars. This is the fact. And I think that pandemic will go, but it will stay and it will move further. What I feel. And we have seen that during the interactions and all these things, some trouble came. These are the teething troubles. These will vanish actually. So that. Another point. So actually, I would like that pandemic will go, but this webinar will continue. Another is that another theme what I have read. Another theme is that technological innovations in schools education. Now, I will request Professor Vinay Chaudhary and other speakers that where this theme can be used. I will request you to just discuss on that. Recently, you must be aware, you must be knowing, you must have read in the newspaper that a few days ago, our Honorable Chief Minister has inaugurated thousands of high schools, upgraded high schools. Now students are getting admitted there. Okay. Now what you can do, what you can suggest in a technological way, what will be your technological idea about giving them correct education, about giving them right. And for that, if something comes concrete from this seminar, that will be forwarded to the Education Department of the state government. And then the state government will do. And it will be a human service of this webinar to the society and to the government. This is another one thing I have read that preparing teachers for 21st century. This is also going to be discussed. How to prepare, what sort of teachers should be. What one gentleman was speaking, actually I heard him. Don't teach what you know. Don't teach what you are learning. Teach only what you are. Okay, you are right. Because that simply means that through that he has told that if one has to teach what he is, then he will have to mend himself. Then he will have to correct himself. Because he can say only about him, what he is, what he is. So these are the things. Another is that Professor Chaudhary had been organizing seminars. Really, 1 hour or something, 1.5 years ago, he had also organized this seminar, and that was a real seminar, and that was a physical seminar organized in that, Professor Singh Vice Chancellor. There are also many organizers, many people. From one lady scholar from actually Uzbekistan, I exactly remember Uzbekistan. Again, she is going to speak here. Okay? So I have heard her lecture directly. And what she had to, whether she expressed that has been formulated or not. What outcome came from your last seminar? So actually you organize the seminar, no problem. But you should have some concrete ideas also. And that should be published. That should be brought to the society for just implementation. So these are the things actually. For that I requested him, and I wish this webinar very successful. And one thing more I want to tell you, here Putul is here. She is the most sought after anchor. She is the most sought after anchor. I have seen her. And so all these things are wrong. Everything will come. So therefore I will request the organizers to prepare some conference only that can be achieved. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure for me to have you in the program in which I answering the interview. Thank you. And yeah, an information from Dr. Vinay, whatever you have asked for, the record sheet is already in print, just on the closed in your hands on the last day of the session. Thank you. And now, may I have the privilege of inviting Dr. Dinesh Kumar Singh for his speech in the inaugural session. Dr. Dinesh Kumar Singh is clinical psychologist and nutritionist from Bangkok, Thailand. He is the chairman of Brinda Medical Research Center and member of Psychiatric Association of Australia, Canada, and Ireland. So now, Dr. Dinesh Kumar Singh. Sir, please.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So, I think I am audible to everyone. So, I express.
Yes.
Thank you. So, I express my special thanks to Professor Arvind Kumar Jhaji, and I express my special thanks to Professor Chaudhary ji for inviting me in this webinar. So, as this is based on education, society, and global, so I would like to focus some important issues. As we all know, we have 234 countries in the world now. And out of these 234 countries, we have 84 as sovereign countries. Now, just before some time, I was listening and I was enjoying Professor Arvind Kumar Jhaji. So Professor Arvind Kumar Jhaji was actually telling something about education that should be beyond employability, and this is really wonderful, very good. I appreciate that. What I feel that our education system has changed. Before, had four main bases, four main basic pillars. And what were the most important things were mental development, physical development, spiritual development, social development. These were the bases. But now, this era, what is happening, the maximum emphasis is only on to develop the employability skill. What I have been noticing, not only in Bangkok, that I have been going through, because being a member of